party peoples? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. How's about you doing? How about you doing? How about what movie is that from? Does anybody remember? He's like, it's somebody saying like, how you doing? How about you doing? How ya do? Now I'm just going way too far with it, but I can't remember what movie that was, but I just remember cracking up at that. Anyways, how's everybody doing, guys? Bobo here, BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for joining me with another episode of BrassReel Tonight, where we talk about everything coming out to the big screen, everything coming out at home to stream, and all the news and chatter going on behind the scenes. Nailed it even better. Sweet. All right, I'm getting it down. I'm getting things a little tighter with this show. It's getting me excited. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Like I said, to the 6 fans that are out there, had a couple of friends tuning in live with me yesterday and the day before, putting some comments up. That was fun. I tell you what was even more fun. I got to see Suicide Squad last night, and it technically doesn't come out until tomorrow. And actually, it doesn't come out. You can watch it tonight at 6 o'clock here in Texas, and I think 7 o'clock Central Time in general. But it is coming out to HBO Max. But I got to see it at a little screener. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about this. I just need to move my mic up just a smidge. But I got to see a screener. It was pretty cool, and I got to see it because of Andrew, my writing partner. Andrew, my writing partner, he's also an actor, and he has a friend of his. His name is Geraldo Davila. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Geraldo Davila. And actually, this is a picture of him right here. I'll put it up there. At least I thought I had a picture of him. Hang on a second. I think I got it right here, actually. But he's a super cool dude. I had never met him before, but like I said, Andrew knows him and has known him for a long time. But yeah, it's this guy right here. And he's actually in the movie. He's in the Suicide Squad. And he's not just like popping up in it either. He's actually got a significant role to where you see him a little bit. So it's pretty cool. I got to talk with him a little bit, ask him some questions about what it was like working with James Gunn, what it was like working on a big movie. He's done some other films as well. He is a local actor as far as he's from the Texas, Dallas area. It's pretty cool though. I got to go to the screening. They did a Q&A beforehand. They did a lot of giveaways and game playing and stuff like that. It was done by Warner Brothers. It was very professional. He was extremely engaged with everybody that was there. Geraldo was. He was talking to everybody and just was very grateful. Like I said, beforehand, he was there at least 2 hours early talking to anybody that was showing up because you had to show up early. It was a screening. But on top of that, he was staying 2-3 hours after, just really engaging with everybody, taking pictures with everybody. And it was a decent turnout. There was press there. Like I said, they did this opening Q&A. It was a lot of fun. It was something that I've been to a screener before, but I'd never been to a screener where it was actually the screeners that I'd done before was more like just kind of a prize and you get to kind of see what's up with the film, but there was no press there or anything. This one, it was actually a deal put on by Warner Brothers. So it was fun. I had a good time. I'm going to show some pictures that I took with him and my buddy Andrew and stuff in my review that I'm working on this afternoon. I hope that I'll have that finished tonight. I might not get it out to tomorrow. It just depends. I tell you what, the life of the YouTuber, it's a shit ton of work. It's a lot of work, but I do love it though. It's very rewarding. What do you mean stop eating cactus? X-Maniac just said, stop eating cactus. What does that mean? Am I eating cactus? He also, X-Maniac asked real quick, is Gunn open to Suicide Squad sequels? I'm not sure. I didn't know what he got involved with this with, if it was just a one-time deal for him, if Warner Brothers is trying to do different things every time around. Like since this one is such a difference from the first one, even though there's a few of the main characters in there, but not really. And I don't want to say anything. And I am working on my review. So check out my review when that comes up. I don't want to say anything, but while there are old characters in there, and it still does focus on Harley Quinn. I think we all know that. She's kind of their prize as far as DC is concerned right now. But everybody else in the film is essentially kind of new characters. Oh, and Rick Flag. Rick Flag is somebody that's in it a lot, who was in the last one. But the feel of the film is totally different. which kind of, will get me started on a little bit of the first stuff. I mean, it's not the first, it's not a ton of stuff. It's not any news, but since I did see it last night, it was a lot of fun. Definitely was really, really good. It was better than the last one for sure. I do have to say this. This isn't a stab at the movie because it was great. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was funny. It was just violent. In fact, one of the things that they've been saying is how violent it is, but it was also really fun. I mean, it was I mean, look at that. Look at King Shark. It was really fun, but it was super violent all at the same time. And I had a good time with it. However, with that being said, I think that there may have been too many too many up hypes about this film, even going so far back as like 6 months ago. I feel like that there was so much hype, and it's like 96%, 98% score, all this stuff that when you hear that for so long, and it's gotten to where the older I get, I'm not sure I even want to watch previews like I used to. Like now, I am kind of like, do I want to see that? Most of the time, I am going to watch the trailer. It's just like I can't. If I sit too long thinking about it, I'm like, all right, I got to watch it. But it it was a great movie, but I just don't know if it lived up to the hype because the hype was so much. It was fun. It was action packed like a mofo. It was extremely violent, but it wasn't like surprisingly violent. It was catchy. The pace of the film was really good. It had some heartfelt moments to it as well. There were a couple of things, and I'm not going to get into this now. I'm going to get into it in my review. So check that out when that's coming out either tonight or tomorrow. But there were some parts in it that I felt were a little hacky. And when I say hacky, I mean like, oh, that's awesome that they're doing that, but they did that in this movie too. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into that hardcore because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It's not even out yet. But overall, it was fantastic. It was a great movie. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if I like it better than Guardians of the Galaxy, though. I still think Guardians of the Galaxy is actually better. I might say it's equal to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but honestly, maybe not because I really like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I liked Kurt Russell as Ego the Living Planet. And I have a comment from Esmaniac here, I think, but I know that he loves Kurt Russell. Oh, you're getting a negative vibe from my tone in the movie. Well, it's not that it's a bad movie. It's a great movie. It was awesome. But people were saying it's the best DC film yet. And I just, as far as the DCEU, I'm not sure that it was the best DC film so far. I kind of feel like Man of Steel is their best one, in my opinion. Well, I mean, I don't know. You can't include Joker in the DCEU because it's not, but it is a DC film. So Joker got Oscars and shit. Birds of Prey was a failure, in my opinion. I mean, it's fun to watch Ewan McGregor, but that's about it in that movie. They got so much stuff wrong. Wonder Woman 1984 was not good, in my opinion. I thought it was bad. I liked Wonder Woman, but I was very, very let down with Wonder Woman 1984. I thought the plot was ridiculous. And that's another thing in this movie, too. The plot gets a little out of hand at some points, and I'm not sure, the plot doesn't get out of hand. Some of the things that they do get a little out of hand, but it is a James Gunn film, and you kind of know what to expect from him by now. And that's, from a guy that started out doing Tromeo and Juliet for Lloyd Kaufman for the Trauma Company. And then, he did Slither, which I actually watched that last night when I got home. Slither's awesome. Love Slither. Slither's a great movie. With those movies being in his pocket, and he's done this now. This was a great movie, but it wasn't like next level James Gunn stuff, in my opinion. Like it was still great, but it felt like an R-rated version of Guardians of the Galaxy, if I can say it any simpler than that. It wasn't bad. It was awesome. I just think the hype got too crazy with it. And that's why I was like, people were just saying the best movie DC's made, all this stuff. And I honestly, like, when I walked out of Man of Steel, I was moved. I was truly like crying in moments in Man of Steel. And there were moments that got a little emotional in this, but nothing like on the level of Man of Steel. And the other thing this isn't a complaint, but I think the movie would have been a little bit more heartfelt if it would have been a little longer. It was only 2 hours and 7 minutes long, but the pace of it is really cool. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, please don't take this that I'm bashing on the movie. I'm not. The movie was great. It was better than the last one for sure. They corrected the course from the get-go. When you start watching this movie, they correct the course. Oh, whoa. Sorry about that. Well, look, I don't want to keep talking about this too long because I'm going to do a review on it. All in all, it was awesome. I loved it. I had a blast with it. It was great. I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied with it. I will rewatch it probably tonight and maybe some more since it's going to be on HBO Max. I mean, I have the option to watch it a lot. So I definitely will give it some more watches. And I'm a big believer, and I've said this a lot and I'll say it again. I think that movies literally either almost always get better or always get worse the second time you watch them. They're going to be one of the other ways. Like, it's not going to just be like, oh, it was just as good. I think you either love it more or it doesn't keep its standard. Because in my opinion, if you really enjoyed a movie the first time and it wasn't like a convince yourself to like it, if it was like, damn, that was really good. Most of the time, when I rewatch it the second time, I enjoy it more. I find more things of what they were going for. I dig into it deeper. I'm like, all right, this was badass. But this is not something that I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It was a great movie. All right. When you said, is it going on HBO? Yeah, it is going to HBO as Maniac. It's definitely going. And it's going to be on there tonight, or at least it will. At 6. It'll be tonight, 7 Central Time in America, or 7 Eastern Time. Oh, crap. Maybe it's 7 Eastern Time. I know it's coming on 6 o'clock here. All right. Well, moving on. Speaking of the Suicide Squad, Margot Robbie and Joel Kinnaman, Joel Kinnaman plays Rick Flag in the first one. Margot Robbie, obviously, she plays Harley Quinn. They just kind of came out about the original Suicide Squad, the first one. So the first one's called the first one's called Suicide Squad. The second one's called The Suicide Squad. And they weigh in on David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, the original. That one got a lot of bad reviews. It didn't live up to the hype. It was confusing to a lot of people. It felt crammed and overpacked. Well, if any of you guys that don't know, they meddled into that movie. The studio meddled in that movie just like they did with Justice League. Justice League, Zack Snyder had his vision that obviously when we saw it on HBO Max was totally different than it was in the theater, the one we saw, the Whedon cut, as I like to refer to it, and most people do. That was just a disaster because of the studio meddling. You saw what could happen when studios want to meddle like that. Well, the same thing happened with the Suicide Squad Suicide Squad, the first one. And those movies were supposed to be connected much more than they were. Darkseid was supposed to be involved with the plot of Suicide Squad more, just like he was supposed to be involved with the plot of Justice League more. And so when Justice League Snyder Cut came out, people have been clamoring for the Ayer cut. And I'm just going to read you something here that Margot Robbie said that her and Joel Kinnaman were kind of on the same page with. That she's like, I'm sure it's a complicated thing. And she's like, I'm not really responsible for any of it. She's like, when these movies, come out, even as some of the main actors, a lot of time we don't even get to see it until half the audience has already seen it, or the night of, or the day after, just when we actually get to do it, because we're still working. We're doing all these different things. But she does think that she would like to see it because everything that she's ever made, she wants to see a cut of. So if there's an existing cut or there was a vision that Ayer did, she wants to see it. And I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think that HBO Max will do it. I don't think they'll put the money back into it, but I really would like to see what that original Suicide Squad was supposed to be like. Because David Ayer is a good director. I think people have branded him now that he's not a good director because of Suicide Squad turning out like it did. But I think people really need to understand that Suicide Squad that came out, the one we saw, is not his vision, is not what he was shooting. It's not what he had in mind. It was a studio film that we ended up with. Like I said, it was way too cram-packed. It was just not a good representation of what it should have been. And this new one, I will say, that does get that right. It does get the vibe of what you felt the Suicide Squad was supposed to be like in the comic books. In the comic book, it is supposed to be sort of more this motley crew that accidentally pulls all this shit off. Where in this, or in the original Suicide Squad movie with Jared Leto and all that, the characters were too serious. They were too dark and grim. You felt bad for like the Inferno guy, the Flame guy. They had the witch girl that was with Joel Kinnaman's character and all that. And it was just all of it was too serious and dark. And the Suicide Squad is supposed to be more of a motley crew and everything. And James Gunn nailed it with the sequel. So I'm really excited about rewatching it because of those reasons alone. That was great. But I don't think we'll get an Ayer cut. I don't think it'll happen. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see David Ayer and Harley Quinn's whole thing come about, which is another thing. I actually liked Harley Quinn's look in Suicide Squad, the first movie, better than I've had her looking since. I didn't like her look in Birds of Prey, and it was good in this, and there was nothing wrong with it. But I like that blue and the red with the black eye makeup and everything you're seeing right here. And the new one, it's just red and black and white, or red, black, and blonde. I like the red all over in different spots with her lipstick and everything, but the hair being sort of the pink and blonde and blue, sort of like the bomb pop. I don't know. There's just something about that I dig, especially when she's killing people and it's all bloody and everything. I think the contrast between the character, between the color she's wearing and she's like doing stuff that's all bloody and violent. It just, I don't know. It's more bombastic to me. Some of the big news though, that I've got on the cover or my thumbnail that I put up is South Park just signed a massive deal with Paramount Pictures, with Paramount Plus. All right, so check this out, y'all. This is no joke. Okay, so Paramount Plus, if you guys don't know, that is the Paramount streaming service that's actually doing pretty well and has a lot of rights to a ton of IPs, Star Trek being one of them. But this is nuts what they just pulled off with South Park, y'all. So South Park just signed a 14-picture deal with Paramount. Now, I'm not talking about 14 episodes, 14 movies. And they review their Comedy Central series through season 30. So that's just already like, what? How do they even do that? I mean, it is Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and they do hire other writers to help them with stuff, but they are still the main control guy. They are the dudes that still run it and create most everything. They do all the voices and all that. I mean, 14 movies. They're just about to start season 24. Or maybe it's season 25, but I think it's season 24. Look, with that many flipping projects and just content of South Park coming out. I mean, 14 movies on top of how many, that's what, 6 more seasons? That's crazy. I just don't know how they're going to do that. Now, I thought that the whole thing that happened with South Park is they did this HBO Max thing. Because on HBO Max, you could start watching, they had the pandemic special and the vaccination special. And that's where this picture right here is from. Were they going to get the mask on and everything like that? But the whole thing there is that I thought they just started doing things when they wanted. They didn't have to work on any sort of schedule. And so as of right now, with this pandemic special, what we've gotten there, those are technically the first 2 episodes of season 24. But that's been since September 2020. So I don't know. They said they're going to start up soon on Paramount Plus, but it is going to air. I think the Paramount Plus movies are going to be what's happening. And I think the shows are still coming out on Comedy Central. Honestly, I thought it had all gotten signed over to HBO. I had gotten confused with that. And I'm still kind of confused because is it going to air on Paramount Plus the next day after it airs on Comedy Central first? Maybe that's how they're going to do it. But I know that the movies, I guess, are going straight to Paramount Plus. 14. I mean, what are they going to do 14 South Park movies off of? I mean, I guess they can because they do 30-minute episodes all the time. I mean, I'm just glad they're doing something because they can go nuts with those. I think everybody agrees that Bigger, Better, Longer, Uncut was hilarious. Love that movie. Everything about it. So I got my buddy Weinbarger here says he needs to finish reading the article, but I'm thinking some of that isn't South Park. What do you mean by that? Do you mean it's not like the movies aren't South Park movies? Like it's just going to be Trey Parker and Matt Stone writing movies? I'm just, if you get that comment, send back. Tell me what you mean there, Weinbarger. B-Dub, that's a good buddy of mine. As Maniac says, he thought that family comedy was on its way out, or animated comedy. I think you're right. Family Guy has lost its punch. I don't think that animated the decline in animated comedy is going to ever have an effect on South Park. South Park, I think, is timeless because of the way that those guys just control everything. It's almost like it's almost like they have, you know how James Bond has the license to kill? It's almost like Trey Parker and Matt Stone have the license to just do whatever they want in comedy and not get in trouble for it. Like we're all having to back off right now. There's all this cancel culture happening. Everybody's got to watch what they say. There's so many jokes that were funny, things that were in movies funny even 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and now it's like super taboo and off limits. You can't say it. It's just a very tiptoe world on things like that you can't touch in comedy these days. You gotta be very sensitive, but not Trey Parker and Matt Stone, man. Those guys just balls out. They don't care. So I feel like that's not going to affect the downslope in animated comedy. Like you said, Family Guy's lost its punch. And I agree. I think it has. I think Simpsons lost its punch a long time ago. Family Guy lost its punch probably about 6 or 7 years ago, but Simpsons, I mean, I was over it a while back. The movie was funny, but the show I've been over for a while. But I really don't think that'll have an effect on it with South Park. South Park is just too pop culture driven. And they go to such a place that people are so baffled by that they're doing it, but it's so ridiculous and so funny. And the cool thing about South Park is that they do that whole thing at the end of every episode where they like try to teach you a lesson and you sort of learn something. That's pretty cool. Like I think to be like appalled and be shocked for 27 minutes, and then the last 3 minutes you're like, did those little bastards just teach me something? I think that's pretty cool. And that shows that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are smart dudes. So I'm curious to see what's up with the Paramount Pictures stuff. My buddy Brian Weinberger, he said that's what he's saying as far as the 14 films. He thinks that they're not all South Park films. On the 14 films coming to Paramount. And you might be right. The article that I read, in fact, I've got it right here. Let me see. I'll read it right now. It says Paramount Plus orders 14 South Park movies while Comedy Central renews the series through season 30. I mean, it says the studios calls for the pair to produce 14 movies for Paramount Plus based on the enduring Comedy Central animated franchise. So that's what it says. Here, I'm going to read the whole thing. South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone have set an expansive new deal with Viacom, CBS, MTV Entertainment Studios that calls for the pair to produce 14 movies for Paramount Plus based on the enduring Comedy Central animated franchise. So there you go. Looks like it is about South Park. It's a lot of shit. Okay, look at this. Look at this. My writing partner Andrew said the Suicide Squad sucked, and you know it. It didn't suck. It was great. And then he says, I keyed. No, it was good. Actually, his thoughts on it was very enjoyable and cleverly done. You're welcome. Okay, he says you're welcome because he's the one that got me the intro to get these tickets and to be introduced to Gerardo. So that was cool. So thank you, Andrew. I love you. Brian Weinberger says that he'll allow it. I think he's talking about the South Park movies. If you know B-Dub, that's typical B-Dub humor. Anyways, moving on. I'm excited about the South Park stuff. When I saw that today, I was blown away. Like, what the hell is up with this? 14 movies and 6 new seasons. Crazy. All right. How about a little Nicolas Cage news, guys? We all love Nicolas Cage. At least I think we do. He's one of those guys that's like, yeah, he does crappy, whack movies, but he also is awesome. Like he had his period where he did a lot of Oscars like I say Oscars, I mean like Oscars type films, nominations, really up there stuff, being directed by like Tony Scott, Ridley Scott. He had his action role phase where he was doing like Con Air and The Rock and things like that, National Treasure. But then he got into this sort of like cult B movie era phase, and he sort of remained there. But for some reason, like, okay, I think everybody knows that Nicolas Cage got into a lot of trouble with taxes a while back, and not that he was like in trouble. He just needed to make a lot of money all of a sudden, and he needed to basically kind of start taking any role that he could. Well, out of doing that, he had a few movies that turned out to be pretty damn good. Like Mandy was really good. I loved that. Color Out of Space was pretty good. Willie, but he's getting all these roles now, like Willy's Wonderland. He did that movie Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but ugh, terrible. But I mean, he was doing Bangkok Dangerous, Drive Angry. I mean, he was just doing all this wacky stuff. And he did one recently called Pig, which, from what I understand, that actually was one of his ones that's more of an Oscar-worthy contender. Still haven't seen it yet. But his newest one coming out, which is another just out of nowhere, Prisoners of the Ghostland. And I don't know. The only thing I really know about it is that he's just some sort of assassin with this girl. And here, I've got the samurais and ninjas. That's all he's doing. It says Nicolas Cage takes on ghosts, samurais, and ninjas, September 17th. That's the only thing I could really find on it. This is the only poster I could even find on it, too. But I got to say, if Nick's going to be in it and he's fighting ghosts and samurais and ninjas, I got to see it. I got to see it. And this is the only image I could find from the film. I'm literally, like I said, I couldn't find any pictures. I could barely find anything. But the Prisoners of the Ghostland. I don't wonder what that necklace is or something. It looks like something from John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars or something. But I love Nick, especially when he's like, ready for the big ride, baby. Remember that in Face Off? Hilarious. Little movie trivia there from Face Off. When he did that, he did that scene. And when he got done doing that scene, they yelled cut and they were like, Nick, that was great, man. That was awesome. But now we got to pay for the rights for that song and everything. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I just made that up. And sure enough, he did. He was just thought it'd be funny to do some singing and write in that role, which, by the way, Face Off, Castor Troy, I wanted to see a whole movie of him playing that villain. It was great when they switched with him and John Travolta and all that and made for the good story. And Face Off's one of my favorite action films of all time. But man, when Nicolas Cage was Castor Troy before they faced off, Nicolas Cage's Castor Troy was phenomenal. All the dialogue that came out of his mouth, all the movement, everything about him, his dances, all of it was just beautiful. I wanted to see so much more of that. So hopefully the Prisoners of the Ghostland, hopefully be pretty good. Like I said, oh, look at this guy. Classic. Bargain Bin. Esmaniac, you're saying Bargain Bin. What are you talking about, Bargain Bin? The Ghostland, the Nick Cage movie? It probably will be, honestly. Like I said, he puts out so many shitty ones so long all the time that at this point, you're surprised when you get a good one, but you do get a good one sometimes. Oh, Face Off. Yeah, Brian says one of his best roles, 100%. I agree with you, baby. All right, moving on. Get to some other stuff here. A little more news about some stuff coming out that I didn't know about. Showtime is putting out a new show called Yellow Jackets. And this is just kind of the poster for the trailer. Cause again, I couldn't find any posters for this thing or any advertisements, but this is it. I watched the trailer today and it looks pretty interesting. It's starring Christina Ricci, which hot. And it's also starring Juliette Lewis, which still hot, but they're also great actors. And apparently the whole premise of this is they're still living today, but they're rehashing this trip that they took. And apparently it was like, you guys remember that movie Alive, where there was like the plane crash and then they all had to survive and it was like out in the cold and then they like started eating each other to survive. You know, when one would die, they would eat the dead person. You know, it was really jacked up, but it was a true story. And apparently the trailers for this sort of lend themselves to that idea, but it's all women. But the show takes place after that. But like I said, they're rehashing the times. They'll flashback it and stuff like that. But it looks pretty dope. I got to say, the trailer had me enthralled. And, Showtime is pretty good with their shows. They're decent like HBO, I think. They don't always knock it out of the park, but they do some good stuff. Dexter, Californication, all those are Showtime shows. Those are good. So I'll give it a shot. We'll see if it's something that can reel me in. Yellow Jackets right here. And I mean, come on, I'm always down to see Christina. What up, girl? Just had to throw that in there though. Now this is something, as you can see, I'm wearing some true colors right now. We got some big news about, to me, one of the best worst shows on television. Cobra Kai will be releasing in December. Oh, yes. And it will have the legendary Terry Silver in there. Thomas Ian Griffith as Terry Silver is one of the greatest cheeseball villains of all time. I love him. Everything that comes out of his mouth is so cheesy that he's awesome. Like, if I ever met a guy like that, and I would be like, I couldn't believe he just said that, and I love him for it, even if he was saying it at me, because Terry Silver's so awesome. And look, like I said, no business loving this show like I do, but I love it. It's just so much fun. Like I said, the season 2 finale, one of the most fun finales I've ever had watching. I was by myself watching that, and it's really a tough thing to do when you're by yourself, to laugh at something. And it's another thing to get really pumped up about something. You can get it. I'm telling you, that's what's so fun about watching movies in the theater, because you have that shared experience and you laugh together. Last night it was happening in Suicide Squad, like through the entire film. When the laughs would happen, the laughs just felt better because it was with so many people. And so it's just better to enjoy the stuff with other people like that, in my opinion. And that's how I felt. But when you're by yourself and you feel that way, it's really good. And that's how I felt with the season 2 finale of Cobra Kai. It was amazing. Season 3 was still awesome. I loved it. I liked it better as a season, but I still think that the season 2 finale was just off the charts. Dope. And coming out in December, y'all. And I mean, the beauty about Netflix is, and one of the things I don't like about it, but one of the things I do like about it, it's like a love-hate thing, is that they will have them all there to watch. You can binge them immediately. One of the things I like about the Amazon shows is you have to wait. And I like that too, because and Loki and Disney, like with Disney Plus, they're making you do that. I like the wait because it makes the anticipation is there. I like the water cooler talk. Because if you binge them, you get excited about it and you might talk about it for a week with your friends and then it's done. But when you have the shows come out every week, you have that anticipation. You can talk about it for a week. The speculation can build online, the theories, all these things. I mean, I had just as much fun with WandaVision and Loki talking about what I thought was going to happen next with people online and the online community and just all my friends on my channel, all that stuff. I have just as much fun or more fun doing that than I did watching the shows. Now, I loved watching the shows, but I think the speculation and the theories and the guessing and all that was way more fun. And that's something you just don't get with binging. When you binge it, it's there. You don't have to guess. If you want to guess, it's like, well, shit, I'll just watch it. Don't get me wrong. I love that too. I love being able to just throw down and being like, man, I watched it all, because sometimes I want it more. It's like, I wish I could see more. But I also think waiting is cool. So Cobra Kai, guys, December coming out. Can't wait. I will binge it and I will talk about it. Like I said, I got the true colors on right here. All right. Get into some little leading up to some of our main real dark topic today. Apparently, we may have just seen the hint of Captain and Iron Man coming back in the MCU, and we didn't even see it. It just flew right over our head. Now, what are you saying? What are you talking about? They're back in the MCU. Yeah, they died, and yeah, they're gone. I'm talking about Chris Evans has already confirmed that he will be in his role as Captain America again somehow. A lot of people have been saying, is it going to be flashbacks? A lot of people are saying, is it going to be an alternate one. And I think it's going to be that. In fact, with them confirming all this stuff with the multiverse, now they're saying the multiverse is connecting to the what if shows. I mean, what if we see them in the roles again, but just as different versions of it, right? I mean, we already got a different version of Loki in the show. We know that that's only the Loki from the original Avengers film. Loki is technically dead as far as how old Loki's gotten. This is a younger Loki we have in the show. So they could use an alternate Tony and Cap. Would you guys like that? I mean, I think it would be cool. I'm I'm not done with Tony and Cap. I don't want them coming back as their same form. I don't want them to undie. I don't want it to be like, "Oh, he survived and he's been in hiding," or some bullshit like that. But I'd be okay with them using them in some other form. And like I said, it's already been said that Chris Evans, he said that, yeah, I'm coming back somehow. Like I've already signed up for some appearances here and there. Now I don't know if it's going to even be a major role that he signed up for. It could be something very small. It could be, like I said, a flashback. It could be some sort of cameo. It could be something where Sam in the next movie, he's got the shield and he's going through all this stuff and he's reflecting and he's thinking about Cap or something. And they could just film something with him. Or it could be a multiverse thing. Because, like I said, they have already done the multiverse and pretty much allowed you to think that anything can happen. With Loki, I mean, it's thrown down. It's shown you, yep, look at here. I mean, that's Miss Minutes right there telling you all this shit is just all kinds of, it's just like a big bowl of muffin batter and you just fold it, just folding it. That's what the multiverse is. Whatever you want to throw in there, you just fold it in. And that's what they're doing, which is one of those things that scares me a little bit. And I talked about that yesterday. I don't want them to just throw everything in there just because they can. I think that's a mistake. Throw it in there because it's awesome, not because you can. Now, I don't think Kevin Feige's doing that. I have a feeling that they're making us think they're going to do all this crazy stuff, and we might see a film of crazy shit, and then it'll recorrect itself somehow. That's just my theory. I don't know that, but I think that that's what's going to happen. As Maniac says, this universe thing is a clause to keep people in it. You might be right. You might be right. I mean, the multiverse thing is cool though. I think it lends them more opportunities, but I'm not sure. Like you said, it could be just this thing they wrote in to get everybody back involved because we all know that Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you guys saw Doolittle. Ooh, that was bad. That was like one of those ones where if you're watching it by yourself, which I did, I'm like looking to my right, hoping that somebody will be there so I can be like, what am I watching right now? That's how bad it was. His accent was wacky. It just didn't have a feel to it. It didn't know what it wanted to be. So I think that he's begging to be back in. I don't know that he is. Let me take that back. I don't know that he's begging to be back in the MCU, but I think that he is trying to get back in there somehow because just he left and it's like, maybe I miss it a little bit. What do you guys think? They coming back or not? As Maniac says, it's bad. What do you mean it's bad? Curious what you're talking about. The universe thing, the multiverse. Do you not like the multiverse, as Maniac? I'm kind of with Weinbarger. He says if anybody can pull something like that off and not ruin it, it's Marvel. I think they can because I think what they're doing is building up. I think they're, like I said, they're trying to even twist you and think this certain way. I mean, we'll know when No Way Home comes out and Doctor Strange 2 or Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, we'll know by then. We might even have a feeling of the way it's going by the time Eternals hits, because I do feel like the Eternals, the reason their movie's coming in and they're waiting till now to get involved is because of what just happened in Loki with that multiverse situation that just exploded with all the timelines just going off everywhere. And I think without people realizing when they were watching that, that is the spark for the multiverse is in Loki. So I think that they're just building up to give you something really cool that you're not expecting. I don't think that they're just trying to throw it all in there like because they can. And I hope they're not. I don't want them to be doing that, but I don't think that Feige will. I think Feige's smart, man. I think he knows how to even manipulate the audience a little bit to them even think something. And then all of a sudden, because of that tactic and that tool of making you, man, are they going to do this? I hope they don't do this. And then people thinking that direction. And then all of a sudden he's doing that, making you think that because he had this other badass thing in his arsenal that he was like, but I'm doing that so I can just throw this at them. And they're going to be like, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. That's what happened in Endgame for me. When I was watching Endgame, I was truly like, this is one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had. Still to this day, totally agree. And I think a lot of people can agree with me. Not just saying that because I love comic book movies, saying that because it was badass. Same thing with Logan. Logan, I walked out of there just moved. You're like, how did I just get moved from a Wolverine film? But they did it. They did it. All right. So that was just me talking about the MCU stuff that could happen there. And like if we get future MCU Caps and future MCU Iron Mans, I'm great with it. If that like comes from a different timeline, that's cool. Or an alternate universe, that's cool too. I just don't want them to be doing it because they can. It has to be a good story. Speaking of Disney though, and they're good, Disney and their stories, they're in some more trouble again, guys. Some more trouble again. You know the lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson, all that going on right now. The whole thing of breach of contract because she's supposed to make money from ticket sales after they reach a certain point. Well, those ticket sales aren't going to reach that point because of the way it's been marketed and because of the pandemic. The way they put it on Disney Premier Plus, on top of the pandemic already hitting, there's no way the movie will get to that point where she can start making her back end money like she was supposed to. I'm with her. I'm totally with her. So is Kevin Feige and all of them, from what I understand. He's really been behind them. Well, now they're saying that the whole company is basically back to the point that they were in a long time ago, needing stabilization from this guy like Alan Horn. Now, maybe not him specifically, but they need him to come in or somebody like him to come in and diffuse what's happening because what's going on is making Disney blow up. And it's not just because of the lawsuits between her and Disney and the lawsuits between Emma Stone and Disney that are potential. That hasn't happened yet between Emma Stone and Disney, but the rumors are that it's about to. And again, I don't know anything by anybody. I just, from everything that I read and dig into on the news, which is a lot, and I do that all day, every day. But this guy back in the day, when there's Disney was in a shuffle a long time ago, and this guy came in and put Disney at ease. He simplified some stuff. He got Bob Iger involved as well. Those guys they're known for being, in a way, sort of like the saviors of Disney and getting Disney on the right track and they're in the right frame of mind, the right thinking, in the direction they needed to go to make Marvel become what it's been now. And the same thing with Pixar. So Alan Horn is somebody that's important. And right now we have Chapek in there, which I'm not even going to show a picture of him because everybody's mad at him and so am I. But he's ruined everything that Bob Iger and Alan Horn did. Anything that they accomplished, they set up, he's ruined. He's come in there and just torn it down. And not only is Feige mad at Disney because of Scarlett Johansson's situation, and not only is she having her whole thing going there, now reports are saying that Feige is mad at Disney again because of this LGBTQ thing. Now, if you guys don't know what's happening there, apparently, and I'm going to read it right now, apparently they have been having, if you guys noticed lately, they've had a lot of gay representation. They've had a lot of, just like I said, trans representation, all this stuff that they're trying to include more diversity. They're including more foreign stuff involved, more diverse characters from different cultures, all that stuff. And right now, apparently they're trying to stop that in overseas markets. They're trying to take certain scenes out. So I don't know if you guys remember when Loki, now it's been confirmed on Disney Plus when we watched the Loki show that he is bi. Loki's bi now. That doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. I don't know if anybody else it bothers them, but it doesn't bother me. And I think if you look at the character of Loki, it actually makes a lot of sense. If you read more into the comic character of Loki, what he's always been in the comic books, the mischief guy and all that, I think it makes more sense that he is like that. He's curious. And I think it's great for the character. To me, it adds to the depth of the character a little more. And I don't know, I buy it. But apparently they're trying to limit that in certain demographics where it's not accepted as well as it is in our demographic over here. So Kevin Feige is pissed. He came out and basically he's like, what are y'all doing? Disney's always been the company that stands on the shoulders of progression. We've always been the company that's had the gay pride parade. We've always been the company that's tried to include all that different morality with the different style of lifestyle that usually in the past hasn't gone along with morality. Had to get my words right there. So not only is Kevin Feige pissed about the lawsuit, now he's like, you guys are trying to like shame people in a certain way or hide them in certain cultures. And that's not what the whole thing is about with anything right now. We all have to have that open mind, move forward. There's way too much. And this isn't me getting on a political stance. I'm just talking about humanity in general. There's a lot of hatred already. And we don't need a company like Disney that's supposed to be the face of progression, diversity. We don't need to hear about now they're cutting certain things out that show like the bi stuff, Loki being bi and the Loki show. They're cutting that out in certain markets now, depending on if that lifestyle choice is acceptable or not now. And I think I'm wrong by saying lifestyle choice, but you know what I'm saying? Putting that in a movie in certain demographics, they don't like that. They think it won't make people watch their shows as much. And I think that that's wrong. I think you make the movie and put it out there, include everyone. Because you're going to just you're going to step on people's toes that way if you don't. If you start cutting stuff because, well, they don't like it over there, so let's do it this way. But then you're just selling your own self short. And it's like, well, you exist over here. They're going to find it somehow. I don't know. I think it's stupid. And it just shows that they got poor leadership on the Chapek area right now. And so the fact that they're saying that somebody like this guy, Alan Horn, needs to come in there and get things a lot better and get it wrapped up, I'm with them. I think it does. It's gotten too crazy, too quick. And I know we went through a pandemic, and I'm not trying to judge anybody. I don't work for a company or a studio or anything like that. But I think it's pretty clear that they're making some bad decisions when you have your actors that have been there for years now getting pissed, producers that have made you a lot of money, a ton of money. Now they're getting mad at your decisions, and you're just doing all this stuff on the fly, and it's going against your whole creed, who you were in the first place and what you set out, what you're projecting, who you projected yourself as. I don't know. I just think it's weird. And I hope that I'm sorry that I'm saying this about somebody that's in a company and all that I don't know, but it's just like, I hope they either get him out of there and get Chapek into a different role to where he's not in control anymore and get somebody like Iger or Alan Horn in there that values their artists, values the diversity, values everybody that's involved, realizes that the more diversity, the more involved as far as point of view, the better our stuff is going to be. And actually the more mass it's going to reach. So I'll probably have another story on Monday about Disney, because every day I'm looking on there and it's just something. Every day it's something about Disney, and I can't shake it. And I got to talk about it because it's Marvel. It's my favorite stuff in the world. You know what I mean? I love Batman and I love Superman and all that, but Warner Brothers been messing up with the DC films for so long. Marvel's on a roll, and I need them to keep going. And they got all this stuff in store and in plan, and I just need all this trouble at Disney to be over. Well, anyways, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thank y'all for joining me. I really appreciate y'all. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, if you had some fun. Also, if you hadn't done so already, hit that subscribe button too, so you can help us make it to the top. And if you weren't able to watch the show live, which I'm totally grateful for the people that did, but if you ever want to comment on some stuff and there's something that you hear about watching this later and you want me to talk about it, send some info to this right here, BrassReelBobby@gmail.com, and I will always respond on the show about some topics. If there's something you want me to talk about or something you want to address or something that you're curious about, you want my opinion on, anything like that, If you're not able to comment on the live show, send it to brassreelbobby@gmail.com. I promise I'll talk about it on the show, because that's what I really want to do. I want to get engaged with the community more. I think that that's what's cool. The more I get engaged, the more you guys are going to get engaged, and the more people I have watching. And like I said, the quicker I can make it to the top. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much. I do appreciate y'all. Y'all are awesome. Look for my review for the Suicide Squad coming out, because that will be out tonight or tomorrow, and maybe another one over the weekend if I have time to do it. But if not, I will see y'all next week on Monday and on my review. So if life gives you lemons, remember, make some hot, fresh popcorns.